Howdy folks, Josh Shipp here. I'm the founder of Youth Speaker University, and in this video, we're going to talk about speaker fees. You'll walk away from this video knowing exactly what you should charge. Now, I want you to imagine a hypothetical situation with me. You have to choose between one of two basketball players to make a free throw shot on your behalf, and if they make it, you win $1 million. If they miss it, your most embarrassing childhood story is broadcast on national TV. Which of these two basketball players would you choose? And I put their free throw percentage up there for you. Christian Wood coming in at 60.81% or Steph Curry at 90.82%. Well, for most of you, I would imagine in this high-stakes situation, you would go with the more certain bet. Steph Curry at 90.82. Hey, he could still miss. There's a 10% chance. But here's how this relates to your speaking fee. When it counts, when your reputation or money is on the line, you want a sure thing. And so does your customer. This relates entirely to your speaking fee. So in this video, I'm going to talk you through the decision-making rubric that your potential customer goes through when deciding on a speaker and the fee. Secondly, we're going to talk about the three categories of speaker when it comes to speaker fee. I'm going to walk you through fee ranges by audience type, and then we're going to talk about some strategies for raising your speaker fees. I'm going to give you an invitation to schedule some time with us to let us help you raise your speaker fee regardless of where you are currently. Now let's talk about the decision-making rubric. We're going to go inside the mind of your potential customer here. I mean, look, they are risking their money. This is true, but even more importantly, they are risking their reputation. Right? If I'm the decision maker and I'm putting you up in front of, on that stage in front of our 500 students or our 500 parents or 500 attendees at the conference who paid money to attend the conference, took a couple days away from home and work, or our 500 educators and staff and school bus drivers. If I'm the principal of a school, that's not really my money that I'm risking. I mean, of course, I want to be prudent and wise with the school's money and budget, but what I'm really risking is my reputation. If I put you up there and, God forbid it doesn't go well, or even worse, even if it's just sort of like, so-so, I'm risking my reputational capital, which is why our customers must be persuaded, not persuaded, but persuaded that you are the right choice. If they are persuaded, pre-convinced, certain that you are the right choice, like, that hypothetical example I gave you, most of you, 99% of you, I imagine, would choose Steph Curry in that situation. Like that situation, if you are persuaded of who is the right choice, fee is merely a formality. Fee, speaker fee is sort of the secondary thing on your mind or the third thing on your mind in most situations. Now, when you're a newer speaker, this is tricky because you have less evidence that you can place in front of potential customers. So this requires sort of more creative manual labor on your part, scheduling Zoom calls so that you can convince and persuade that potential customer that you're a right fit and that you would deliver value. Introducing them to, folks one-on-one that have had you in before, who have also risked their money, but most importantly, their reputation, and it went well. I mean, if you're a newer speaker, you're sort of in the situation where you're kind of having to talk them into it. You might not have a video yet. They might not have seen you yet. And if you're an experienced speaker, you have more evidence that you can place in front of them. But I found even sometimes with experienced speakers, they don't realize the sort of cognitive chess game that they're in, that it's not about, a a demo video with a bunch of media clips in it showing, sort of their preeminence or prominence. It's more about this chess match of their reputation, persuading them, pre-convincing to them, pre-proving to them that if you bring me in, you're going to be so glad that you did. Now, let's talk about the 3 categories of speakers when it comes to fee range and fee elasticity. The first is the long shot, right? This is, look, we all start here. So this is, no one's necessarily heard of you. No one's necessarily seen you speak. You've just done a handful of speaking engagements, perhaps locally. You don't yet have a demo video of you speaking, or if you have one, if we can be frank with one another, it's not that great. Don't lose heart. Everyone starts here. But when you are the long shot speaker, you have little to no sort of persuasionary evidence that you can place in front of that customer. So they're taking a risk on you. They're taking a gamble on you. Maybe they are in a situation where they have a super tight budget and they can't afford to hire the sure thing. So they go, okay, it's a bit of a, yeah, but sure, we'll give them a try. The second category is the value bet. So you've done some speaking gigs. You've got a bit of sort of momentum and groundswell of people talking about you and your message. You have a pretty solid demo video of you speaking. You got some references, some testimonials. You're a good speaker on stage and on video, but if we're brutally honest, there are likely others out there who are better, or even more commonly, have a more crystallized, clear, or unique take on the topic that you speak about. When you're in this category, you often find yourself being booked because of your topic, not because of your name and reputation. Most clients, not all, at this point, at this stage, are coming in saying, we want a speaker on resilience, not we absolutely have to have you speak on resilience. And then the third category is that Steph Curry, that sure thing. When your reputation and money and time and effort are on the line, this is the person you want, the sure thing. If I'm the decision maker, I've seen you speak, or someone I trust has seen you speak, and you absolutely blew them away. My teachers went to a conference and saw you speak, and they were all coming back like hounding me. We have to get her to speak at our school to our students, to our teachers, to our parent community. When you're in this category, your message and delivery is one of a kind. You've made yourself a category of one. They don't say we want a resilience speaker. They say we want you to speak on resilience. Do that thing you do. Do that thing I saw you do. That was incredible. Our people need to hear it. The video, the demo video that you have is 95% as good as seeing you speak in person. Everything about your message and marketing is first class. These are the 3 categories when it comes to fee. Now, let's talk about the fee range by audience type. And let me just quickly lay out a couple disclaimers of the scope of the fee ranges that I'm talking about. We're talking about the youth and education market, not the corporate market. So we're talking about folks that speak to students. We're talking about folks that speak to educators, staff, nonprofits, and groups of folks that work with students at any sort of age. So we're not talking about celebrities, former presidents, Super Bowl MVPs, this sort of thing. And we're not talking about niche celebrities, folks who have become not a household name, but famous because of, a book or a podcast or a documentary series or these sorts of things. If you, God bless you if you do, find yourself in one of these categories, these fee ranges go out the window. You could get $50,000 to $1 million per speech. But this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the youth and education market for folks that aren't celebrities or niche celebrities. Now let's go through this. I'm going to just walk you through the audience that we're talking about and then the 3 categories of speaker that I mentioned, and then give you a couple suggestions on how to stand out regardless of which category of speaker you are and what audience type we're talking about. So elementary schools ranges from 250 to 500, 1,000 to 2,000, or 2,000 to 4,000, depending on which category you find yourself in. Now, for elementary schools, a key here for standing out is you want to have a fun and positive message. You have to prove to these decision makers that you can keep the attention of 300, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds for, 30 to 45 minutes. So what they're looking for here is something fun, engaging, positive, nothing controversial, nothing sort of too dark and serious, but a positive, meaningful message that's delivered in a fun way that keeps their attention and keeps them engaged. Middle school and high school. Here are the ranges for middle school and high school depending on which category you find yourself in. Now, the key here in standing out is you want to prove to them, persuade them that you can reach sort of a skeptical audience of middle school, high school, sort of, arms crossed, what are you going to teach me? This assembly is going to be lame. This is going to suck. And they appreciate sort of some flexibility because often you need to do multiple assemblies due to their school schedule or venue capacity, their gym or auditorium. And you can also stand out by making what you offer more than just a speech. So there are, specific follow-up materials such as video training or in-class discussion questions after the assembly. Those sorts of things can make you stand out. In the college, if the audience you're speaking to is colleges, here are the ranges of fee. And the interesting thing here is that with middle school and high school and elementary school, these are adults who are the decision maker for you to go and speak to kids or students, kids or teenagers. In college, this is often college students making the decision for you to speak in front of a group of college students. So college is unique in that often the students are the ones who drive the decision making and the programming. Now, sometimes they need to get someone to sort of sign off on the decision, but that person just kind of takes a glance, and as long as everything is within range, they're like, yep, sure, cool, we trust you, do your thing. So understanding for the college market who it is that you are persuading, and if you can cultivate an audience somewhere outside of the stage, this can help you. So whether they've seen you speak or they love your Instagram videos, your TikTok videos, your podcast, something where you can sort of showcase your personality, your message, what you would bring to the stage, but slowly cultivate and build an audience of college students. Not only are you building an audience of your audience, the folks you would speak to, but you're also building an audience of the decision makers. Because often in the college market, the students themselves are the decision maker. Okay, conferences. Here are the ranges for conferences depending on which category you find yourself in. Now, when you started as a speaker, it's like, man, speaking at some conference is like the dream. But the deal is conferences are super picky, right? They've seen a bunch of speakers. Almost every speaker wants to speak at their events. And the reason that every speaker wants to speak at these events is, large audience, beautiful production value. You can often get your message filmed. That's super helpful for marketing. You can often sell product, which means you make a couple extra hundred or a couple extra $1,000. And most importantly, the spinoff at conferences is incredible, meaning you could go and give one keynote at a conference, and if you do a stellar job, you're going to book 10, 15, 20 other full fee gigs from that one speech. So the value is way beyond the speaker fee, which is why it's a very competitive thing to get slotted for the keynote, and the conference planners themselves are super picky because they kind of have the pick of everyone. So if you're newer as a speaker, it is absolutely worth speaking at those conferences for free or for very little money, doing a workshop if you're not booking the keynote, in order to blow them away for consideration for future keynotes. Or even if you're not talking to the keynote main stage audience of 1,000 people, being able to speak to 50 people in a breakout session could still lead to 1 or 2, 3, 4 full fee paying gigs for you as a speaker. Lastly, teachers, school staff, or parents. Here are the fee ranges depending on what category you find yourself in. Now, particularly with teachers and staff doing professional development, what is most common is sort of 1 or 2 speaker types. You see someone who is either a former educator of some kind, that could be a classroom teacher, an assistant principal, a coach, or you have an inspiring story about how an educator made a difference in your life, and you can come at it from that angle. Either, hey, I am one of you, and I know how hard it is, and here's some funny stories of, failure when I too did what you do, or, hey, someone like you in your role changed my life. I want to tell you about that person, and I want to challenge you to be like that person. So with teachers, staff, parents, really it's about make them laugh, make them cry, and give them hope, which means like, hey, keep at it. Being a teacher is hard. Keep at it. Being a parent is hard. Keep at it. But also practical takeaways. Hey, this is hard. Here's 1 or 2 things you can do to help make it a little bit easier. Here's 1 or 2 things you can do to increase student engagement, to get your kid to listen to you. Now, understand, you'll notice that the fees here are a little higher. And this is very fascinating to me. Now, pardon me while I nerd out on this. Go look. You will often have a speaker, get booked for a school assembly at, let's say, $5,000. But then that same school, with that same school budget, will pay their professional development speaker, meaning the person that will speak to teachers and staff, $12,000. Well, that's the same school budget. What's going on here? What's going on here is that to that decision maker, it's an even riskier proposition, right? If I put you up in front of my students and it doesn't, it's like, it's okay. It's like, all right, well, as long as you didn't say anything terrible, I'm not going to get blowback. I'm not going to get parents calling in, whatever. But if I put you up in front of all of my peers and my staff, the folks that work for me, and it's just meh, I'm going to be embarrassed. My reputation takes a hit. And, I'm going to get crap about it from my staff that that was a waste of time. I'd much rather have been grading papers. So this is why you see sort of the fee range a bit higher for this audience group. Now, you can differentiate yourself by adding, again, valuable add-ons, posters to reinforce your message, or if you're someone who can speak really well to both teachers and staff, and then you have an entirely different but equally as good message for students, then you can sell yourself and pitch yourself to the entire school building. I mean, compare these 2 speakers. Hey, I just speak to students versus in the morning, I'm going to speak to the students. In the afternoon, I'm going to speak to the staff. And then that evening, if you want, I'll speak to the parent community. Man, it's like you're giving me 3 times the value. Therefore, what I'm going to be willing to pay you would be quite a bit more, or the proposition is certainly more of a no-brainer. Now, let's talk about strategies for raising your fee, regardless of what fee range you currently find yourself in. First off, I say this a bunch, wishful thinking is not a strategy. Raising your fee is not just a matter of courage or kind of feels like the right time to do it. You need to look at that chart carefully that I laid out. Where are you honestly, what category do you currently find yourself in, and where does it sort of fit in that range? Secondly, lead flow is what should give you confidence. If you're in a situation where, look, maybe you're a speaker, but you got a part-time job, full-time job, or you're a full-time speaker, but you got a family, you're like, look, I'm kind of willing to be on the road X number of days. Let's say you're willing to be on do 50 events a year. Well, if you have 300 requests, that's going to give you a lot of confidence to raise your fee, because you go, hey, look, if I raise my fee a couple grand, it scares 10% of those folks away. No problem. I'm still going to book 50 events, no problem. So it's lead flow that should give you confidence. Now, how do you sort of earn the right to raise your fee? Well, step one is to improve your speech. If you improve your speech, you're going to get more spin-offs by people that see you speak. And if you first improve your speech and then secondly refilm your video, then the video that you're filming is going to be better, not because of fancy editing, but because your speech is better. So a lot of folks, when they're thinking about how do I raise my feed, how do I get more leads, they want to go to kind of like trickery, that online internet gurus teach about, ads and retargeting and, whatever kind of the latest trend is. Instead, if you really do want to go to that next level, work on the quality of your product. The quality of your product. You can't be a savvy enough marketer to market and sell a decent product long term. And if your product's phenomenal, the speech is phenomenal, you can actually be pretty sloppy at the marketing side of things, and people will still hunt you down to speak, because at the end of the day, when you step on that stage or on that screen for a virtual presentation, you blew their people's mind. So improve your speech, refilm your video, and think about what sort of pre and post presentation resources and follow-up materials that you can give to your audience, so that you're truly delivering more value. Because sometimes when people think, well, I got to, to charge more, I got to give more value on stage. And yes, that is true. But it's not just about effort on stage, more energy, more research, more customization. That's a given as someone who takes speaking seriously. It's also about adding more value before you step on the stage and after you step on the stage. Now, we would love to help you, regardless of what category of speaker you're in, help you identify and make some practical mile markers for you to raise your fee and to get to that next level. So, number one, if you're a current YSU student, just as a reminder, we have 2 times a month live coaching. So just log into your account here, click up on the coaching button in the navigation, and you'll see exactly when our next live coaching session is, which, at least at the time I'm recording this, Friday, April 22nd. This is a live coaching call where you can ask questions and get personalized feedback on your speech, your one sheet, your demo video, your website, or your lead generation strategy. Now, if you're currently not a student of U Speaker University, let's talk. I would love for you to schedule a call with our team so that we can identify where you currently are as a speaker, where you would like to head as a speaker, and the practical and tactical steps to get there. U Speaker University is our program that will help you launch and grow your speaking business using our proven step-by-step methodology. If you enjoy, sort of nerdy videos like this, breaking down specific things in the speaking business, then you would love U Speaker University, because it's dozens and dozens of hours of practical training videos like this, plus access to our twice-a-month live coaching and feedback on Zoom. And we've priced it to be basically the price of one paid speech within the youth and education industry. So if you want to do that, you can go to that URL you see on screen, or regardless of whether you're watching on YouTube or on our site, there will be a link somewhere beneath this video. So that concludes this video where we talked all about speaking fees and knowing exactly what you should charge and how to get to that next fee level.